Hey everybody, Chris here. I'm really excited because I'm going to finally start shooting today. This last 3 or 4 weeks my set's been dark, so I really want to be shooting something, and while I'm putting everything together for my next project, I want to at least be working on technique and trying some different things out. So I picked up a Christmas cactus yesterday, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up in the studio. I'm going to shoot one angle for Chroma Key and one angle for traditional backdrop. And what I want to do is a comparison between the two. I've tried to use Chroma Key before, but I haven't had the best results. I really think that it's best to learn how to use all the different methods. So I do want to add Chroma Key to my arsenal. I think there will be times where it's definitely appropriate and works the best. But I definitely think the traditional set building, that there's a lot of merit that goes along in there as well. Also, I'm going to be trying out some new lighting equipment that I have. It's just a couple cheap Philips LED lights, some light stands, and some umbrellas. It's nothing really fancy, but it's a daylight spectrum, and I can bring a little bit of light into certain areas I normally wouldn't be able to hit with just a single light source. And I really didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars for another LED panel. I wanted something small that I could get into smaller areas. So we're trying that out. Also, if you're into this and you enjoy watching this, go over to the website and click on the there's a email subscription that you can put in there, and anytime I have some new content, you'll get an email notification saying that there is some, in case you want to follow along. That'll make it a little bit easier. I hope you guys enjoy this. I plan to do more of these episodes where I'm going to go over how I'm getting everything set up, the equipment I'm using, and all that kind of junk. And then I'll probably put a video up afterwards at the end showing the results and how all that goes. So if you're into this, you can look forward to seeing hopefully a lot of these videos, and hopefully learn quite a bit. I know I definitely will be learning as I go along. So I don't know about you, but I'm ready to go ahead and let's go get started. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything up, and then I'll bring the camera back out and I'll show you how everything is put together. Okay, now we are set up to go. I've got the Christmas cactus down here. It's in a little tray with a little bit of water in there, so it can kind of suck water up from underneath. Hopefully we'll keep a consistent level of water without over soaking it. It's not very deep, maybe about a little over half an inch. Over here we got the Biolapse control module, and here's one of the sensors for heat and humidity, and here's the other one. And up here is one gauge for temperature and humidity, and on here I do have a second one right here. So right now they're both set up to 50% is going to be the kill on it. It's not going to let it go any higher. Same with this one. And then I like having double protection on this, and I'll go ahead and show you why here. This is my humidifier. It's kind of a home-built job, and it's a very simple setup. It's just a large bin with a lot of water in it. Got a 12-volt fan. Got an output port, which I can connect to tubes and hoses and take to wherever I want. Looking inside, that is a 5-head fogger. If I turn it on, well, that's what it does. It fogs up. Close this, and the fan pushes air in, which blows fog out. Nice simple setup. This thing is more than capable of swamping up my basement, so that's why I have 2 layers of protection on it. Okay, so here's camera number 1, and it is looking at this little bud right here, and everything's nice and crisp and in focus and ready to go. I'm hoping to get some really nice photos. Yep, everything looks good in there. I'm using the old backdrop from the Carnivorous Garden set, just because I wanted to show a good comparison of different camera angles and types of backgrounds used for this experiment. And up here, this is one of the 2 new lights that I have, and it's not much. This is just a little Philips bulb, LED bulb. Here's a dimmer, so I can make it bright or dark. And this is the socket going to a light stand, and here's the other one, which also has an umbrella on it. And I got both of these light stands, the sockets, and the umbrellas for 40 bucks. Not a bad deal. I mean, they don't really feel like they'd put up to a lot of really hard use, but I'm just setting them up in here. I think these things will work quite fine. And then these dimmers were only about $7, and the bulbs were about $7. So probably about 70 bucks, maybe about $70 total. I have 2 lights that I can set up with everything else and provide extra fill light, because that was the one thing I was missing in the Carnivorous Garden setup. Here's the experiment cam, and as you can see, it's looking at the plant, and there's a green screen or a blue screen behind it, so I'm going to be doing Chroma Key. I'm not totally sold on Chroma Key. I think it's difficult to do right, and I don't think it's appropriate in all shots for all scenarios. I think that a good healthy blend of maybe using a backdrop of a Chroma Key, sometimes maybe using a photo backdrop that sits behind the subject, or maybe using one of these larger set pieces is going to be really ideal, just mixing that up. If you use the same thing all the time, it gets awfully restrictive, because with Chroma Key, I don't know how to work around bokeh. So anything that's out of focus, I don't know how to really get that to work with Chroma Key. And I'm sure that it can be done. It's just, I don't know how much time I want to invest in learning to do it. And it's so much simpler just to throw a real backdrop in there once you have one made, and you get some excellent results that way. Okay, now let me show you how this all works. So as you can see, the fill lights are off. The LED panel that illuminates the backdrop is off. That light's off, that light's off. The only thing that's on is the room light. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. I'm gonna go hit set. It's now running the routine. I'm gonna turn off that top light. And now, the only thing that's on is the grow light. And as you can see, I mean, that is seriously bright. And it's seriously obnoxious colored. So it's not really something that's good for growing in your house, unless you're just growing something that you don't necessarily want to watch while it grows. And it fits my purposes perfectly. So let's go ahead and do a sample shot, and I'll show you the routine in which everything happens. I got a button up here to do test fire, and what this will do is it'll trigger the cameras, it'll change all the lighting, and it'll basically just kind of give me a quick test so I can check and see the output of both cameras before I know that, so I know everything's good. So I'm gonna hit this. Now see, the fill lights came on, takes the picture, boom, grow light goes back on. And that's it. At night, the grow light's off the entire time, and then the only thing that happens is the fill lights come on and take a picture. But during the daylight, grow light is on, shuts off, fill lights come on, takes the image. Let's see. Let's do it one more time. Pretty cool, huh? So that's it. My fogger's on. It's humidifying my room. Everything's set up. Maybe one final check. See how the output looks. I think that looks pretty good. Check this camera. Looks perfect. Okay, so we'll give this a few days. I'll come back a little later, tomorrow probably, make sure that the water is still even, check on the plant, and then we'll just let it run and we'll see how it goes. So this is the next day. Imagine my surprise when I woke up this morning and had a whole bunch of dark frames. And the problem is that when I was doing the test shots, the BCM, which I pulled out to do a little debugging, it was actually, it was turning out the grow lights and turning on the fill lights like it was supposed to. But it was actually running its routine, it was not. So I had to bring it over and go through and do some debugging on it. What you can see here is an output of the BCM and what it's doing. So you can see that the fill light is now off and the grow light is now on. This way you can kind of keep track of what it is doing, and it even tells me which frame it was taken and timestamps on everything. So if something's not working correctly, I can go in and debug it and find out what the deal is. And I did that, and I did find the problem, so I now have it squared away. I'm going to take this old laptop, and I'm going to set it down there with it, and I'm going to have the BCM plugged in it, and that way, if I do run into any more errors, I'm going to have a nice output log through Hyperterm that'll connect into the BCM. But it looks like everything's functioning properly. See, just turn off grow light, just took another frame. And that's going to turn the grow light back on, the fill light off. and I got about 6 or 7 seconds, so I can go with nice long exposure. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back up, and we'll take another look. I got the BCM hooked back up, and it is plugged into this computer, so it is logging the data for me. So if I have any more issues, I'll know why. We're sitting about the proper level of humidity. Shows 46% on this. Of course, here's the plant. And something else that I did, I put an umbrella on the grow light. So it says that this plant's supposed to be kept a little bit cooler, so it's get plenty of light but not direct sunlight. So I'm thinking maybe putting that umbrella over it might be a good idea and preventing it from getting too much light. And that's pretty much where it's at. At this point, it's very much hands off, and I will just look and see how the output looks, and barring any more issues, I shouldn't have to come in and mess with this at all, and we'll let it run for maybe about 4 or 5 days.